Good evening, everybody. I would like to call the April Board of Zoning Appeals meeting, for the town of Fortville to order at 6:31. Ms. Waldron, will you please walk us through roll call?
Sturdivant,
Here.
Carpenter,
Here.
Simmons,
Here.
Jacobs, Murphy.
All right, thank you very much. And as we were talking about, I want to go ahead and just mention this at the top. We have 3 of 5 of us here today. We do have quorum, but we will need a unanimous vote to move something forward. So just a point of reference for those who are here in attendance or online. So we will proceed with the meeting. If everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Again, welcome to the April Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. Appreciate everybody coming out this evening. And those of you online, appreciate your time. Number 3 on our agenda, approve the meeting agenda. Adam, any changes needed or can we approve as presented?
You may approve as presented.
Thank you very much. All right, I would look for a motion to approve the meeting agenda. We have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting agenda approved. Thank you all. Number 4, commission to consider approving minutes of the March 2026 meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review the meeting minutes? Any changes, modifications needed? Don't think I saw anything. If not, I would look for a motion to approve the March 2026 meeting minutes.
Make a motion, we approve the March 2026 meeting minutes.
You have a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, 3-0. This is easy. We don't have to. That's pretty quick. Approved. Thank you very much. All right, moving along to our public hearing section of the meeting this evening. We've got 2 cases before us this evening. First, we will start with case number variance 06-2025, 108 West Ohio Street to allow a setback variance for a home addition, expanded garage at 108 West Ohio Street with a setback of 0 feet at the east property and 0 feet at the south property line. This was an item that was continued from the March 2026 meeting. Adam, do we have a staff presentation this evening, or is there any material that's to be presented? We've got some things in front of us, but if not, we can move to the petitioner.
Yeah,
Discussion.
there's material that was provided by the petitioner, and they've fulfilled their request of what you had asked for. So before you, there is a retracement survey that was done this month. And that's the one that you see on the 8.5 by 14 paper. For reference, I included the survey that the neighbor had provided, just so you can see what the dimension is from the house from their house to the property line. And then they've also provided the building plans that show the addition of the house a little bit more clearly. So from what I can gather is a couple things. First, the addition as proposed in front of you would still be on the neighboring property to the south by about 4 feet, which is a problem. And the resulting dimension from the side of the expanded area to the existing house next door would be about 6 feet from about wall to wall. So just a clarification point on setbacks and how they're defined in our zoning ordinance is setbacks are defined from the structure to the property line or to the right-of-way line. It does not say anything specifically about eaves. And so I think if you're looking at that definition, the simplest, most straightforward definition would be just from the exterior wall or the foundation to the property line. Because, for example, when they build a new home, and if we were to measure setbacks, they're always going to measure it from the new foundation to the line. So simply put, from what I can gather based on the materials, is there would be about more or less a 3-foot side setback on this expansion. And then if you add in the 3 feet that is existing to the neighbor's house, then you'd have about 6 feet between structures. So,
On the back, 5 feet.
yeah, we'll defer to you just in a second. So that's the analysis from a staff perspective. Now, it sounds like when Mr. Huck we were speaking before the meeting, they might have a solution to the problem of the encroachment onto the neighboring property. So first, that's the background of the updated document. So you have any questions for me on that information?
Any questions for Adam?
Nope.
So
Okay.
just to verify that it appears that is the exception area, and you got the 10-foot run, 4-foot bump, and then a 10-foot run, and so that's that 4-foot section that the addition would sit on, right? Based on the old, those seem to match the old survey plus the new survey layout in the area of question.
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I'm oriented.
So with that, I'd be happy to turn it over to the petitioner for some more explanation and maybe if he can enlighten us on what the proposed solution may be.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, we'll do just a quick clarifier for the group or for everybody here tonight and those online. The way we'll run the public hearing is we'll have time in the agenda for the petitioner to state the case, some question and answer with the board. Then we will have time in our agenda for public comment. Anyone who wants to speak for or against the proposal may do so. And then we will have time for the petitioner to come back up, answer any final questions. And we'll also have time in our agenda for government officials to speak on the case as well. So with that, if you could say your name and your address, please. Just so we've got it on record. I know we've continued a few times, but.
My name is Joe Huck. My address is 10890 Florida Road, Fortville 46040. I'm petitioning on behalf of Jessica Shug, my daughter, who lives at 108 West Ohio Street. And this is a twofold thing now. I did not know till now that we have a sidewalk that is not on our property. Well, that was discovered after we did what we were told by you. We hired a stake survey and did a survey, and now even I can see that on the back of our garage, our sidewalk is not on our property. It's on the property next door. Nothing was ever said ever until I applied for a variance to expand the garage. And that's when all this came up. And thanks to Adam, he's the one that realized all this. I didn't know any of it because I was busy having strokes. So I'm getting better now. And all I knew is I pulled up and I saw a 20-foot wide driveway. And I said, easy, we just have to get a variance. And so my architect took the privilege of designing the garage as we would like. And it is twofold. It is 3.1 feet from the property line, which he says puts it in 0 lot line zoning, which we would not be submitting for 0 to go to 0. That was incorrect what you had read initially. I did not, and I have a copy of it. I asked for 8 to be within 2 feet. As it turns out, we're 3.1 feet, which he said is critical because that allows you to approve this as a 0 lot line construction, which is 3 feet. And if we're lucky enough, then to overcome the real problem, and that is the back 3 feet of our property, it jogs with Christie's property, and it makes it impossible to make the garage go straight across the back like our drawing is requesting. So the second part of it is if we're granted the privilege of the garage at 3.1 feet, then we have to purchase that 3 foot of the back corner from Christie, which I've offered to do. And we discussed it and met at 5:30 to show Christie everything that we've done that we were asked to do, including the drawings. And so we are taking the assumptive mode. If we are granted permission to go to the 3.1 feet variance, then we purchased the back corner from Christie, and we met earlier and went through all of it. And I can only speak for myself. I thought it went pretty well. So if.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for the petitioner? Okay. Appreciate that. That does clarify the situation based on what we're seeing here. So hang on for a little bit. I would like to hear, we've got Christie's here. Anybody else that would like to speak on the case? Want to make sure we get a full, well-rounded. Want to understand the reality of what both neighbors are seeing here. So thank you for that context. All right, we do have time in the agenda for public comment. Anybody who would like to speak on the case? I know there are at least a couple. You may do so. Let me grab the mic and we'll move it back. Yeah, here, just. Yeah, come on down if you would. Say and spell your name and your address, please. You can go ahead and just state it. We've got it on record since this one's been continued. Yeah.
So, and Joe and Jessica and I, actually Marvin, he lives on the house in the red house, right. But, we all met at 5:30 this afternoon. And I think that, I was amenable to this new idea of purchasing in roughly, doing the math, roughly 37 square feet of property, and we do have such an odd lot, so I think if you all are in alignment to have the buildings be 6 feet apart, that's what I think. I want to make sure that caveat is well understood, because that would then align with the variance that I have. My garage kind of butts up to about 3 feet from the property line, so if that Joe does do the same, then we would be amenable to that. It allows access and more access.
So that's wall to wall. On the drawing, there is no scale of the eave. How wide is the eave? Is it 3 foot, 4 foot?
It's 18 inches. It's a little bitty house, but it's an 18-inch overhang, so at no place will the overhang hang over the property line, because you're still at 3.1 feet, and you're going to take 18 inches off that with the overhang.
18 inches.
Yes, so you're still on the property.
So maybe Adam, this is a question for you. We talked about this Tuesday. If we're at 3.1 and 3, if we're at, let's say 6'1", 18 inches puts us below 5. Does the eave considered in the 5-foot fire code spacing, or is it foundation? Are we getting into technicalities? I just want to make sure that we're dotting our T.
That's a That's
dotting
a
our
great
i's.
question. That's a great question, and I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
What we could do is more research if you were inclined to approve it.
Okay.
Then at the just before we issue the building permit and during building plan review, is we can look to see if the eaves factor into the building code requirement for fire separation. And if that's the case, then they would have to do a fire separated wall, which I don't think they have any issues doing. And if it's not, then presumably they would not need to do that.
Okay. Okay.
So what I would recommend then from a staff perspective is since the neighbor is amenable to a proposal of selling a bit of land to really correct the property lines, is if you're inclined to approve it, just say that subject to the condition of fixing the property lines at the consent of the neighbor so that the entire addition, including eaves, is on Ms. Shug's land. And I would probably also include the sidewalk that wraps around it too.
And we have
Good
agreed
question.
to remove.
I think
the
we can make it
sidewalk,
conditional, but
put
let's
dirt
ask.
and throw
We're
grass,
Tyler's
just
on.
like
Oh, okay.
that this sidewalk runs through.
Okay.
That was not known until now. So we'll fix that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
That's
see.
a good point.
There you go. So then, in a hopefully unlikely but worst case scenario is even though, let's say you were to approve the variance with that condition and that for some reason you change your mind, there's no agreement, then we would not be able to proceed with the building permit because the condition of the variance has not been met.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So, yeah.
So I guess the question, we can approve a conditional variance that predicated on the sale of the land. That's perfectly kosher. I guess I'm looking to Tyler for that question.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's a little bit odd, and I was trying to skim code just to make sure regarding the condition. I think it's okay. Because again, it is a definable condition that, hey, if it has to sell before this can be enacted. So I think we're okay to move forward with it for now.
Would that be, I mean, would that be your advice on how to structure that? I want to make sure we don't any unintended consequences or precedents set on, because this is touchy.
Yeah, so I mean the only way you could do it is if it were going to be a conditional variance. Any other way you'd want to structure it, it would need to be a continuance now and be revisited prior to the next hearing.
Okay.
What if I just? Is it really? Don't have that drawn out.
Well, so here, I guess, is the question. If there's some concern with the comfort of doing a conditional variance, if we've got some concerns, if in theory we're okay with if the 3 feet is not an issue and it's not an issue for you, is the critical do we need to approve the variance today, or do we go through with the purchase of the property and come back and get the variance once you've got the property?
Go to May.
I don't know what's the process take.
We're okay.
I mean, how long does it take to do the sale and record all of the changes? It might take a couple weeks to do that anyway. I mean, I don't want to keep kicking the can down the road, but if it lines things up appropriately so that there's a little bit more structure around the variance.
Yeah.
And not try to pull a rug, the intent is not to change anything.
There a sale, there's a legal description of the ground to change the space.
Sure.
So it will take a little time. So I think that would be, I'd be fine with that.
I would feel more comfortable having some sort of agreement in front of me and like you said, the new survey. And just for the future of both lots, really. I mean, if either one of you go to sell it, I would like to see the documents in front of us and making sure everything's lining up.
The other, I also think along those lines, if that's the path that you want to go down, is you could do a replat of these, because these are all in the same Jarrett's edition.
Okay.
So if you replat the lots, then it would basically, there would be one document as a replat that you would both sign and that would get recorded. That would have the effect of moving that lot line accordingly. And then as part of it, if you wanted to, you could consolidate your lot number 2 that you have, that old lot next door, into lot 1. So basically what I would do is clean up those 3 lots and create just 2. There's no additional public hearing step you have to go through to do it. And you could have somebody like Miller Survey put that together. Because I think, and then once it's replatted, then you can have the fresh survey that shows that everything's on the correct lots.
And you're suggesting her house lot plus that little lot 2 side lot be combined.
Yeah, I think for her, the only consideration would be is like, let me see something real quick on your, can I see that? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it looks like, part of your lot is on that lot 2 up there right now.
Yeah.
So I would recommend just consolidating as part of the replat into one big lot. And then if for some reason down the road you ever wanted to sell that north land and it's buildable, you could potentially do that. You just have to subdivide it.
Just do a
So
subdivision.
something to think about. But we'll leave that up to you.
Jessica's piece of ground. And so that would be minimum, but if it's a toss up, I would be okay with it.
Yeah, I would think and this is probably more of a legal question, but I would think if she sells it to you for a fee, then there would probably be a separate document that says what that is. If it's not, if she says there's no fee, just go ahead and fix the lines, then you could do a replat and both sign the document, and I'm sure that would take care of it.
Thank you for.
Because, are you saying because some of the land that would be purchased is on lot 2 and some of it on lot 1? Is that what you?
Sure. Sure. So these lots are obviously really old lots, and they were platted a very long time ago, and conditions have changed in that there are houses that are kind of straddling over these lot lines. So one nice thing so option 1 is if you don't do a replat, then there'll be this funky little square that would get a separate, Ms. Shug would get a separate tax bill for it, for this very tiny little square. And you could, down the road, she could consolidate that for tax purposes, but the problem is it's not going to be very transparent as to what really happened there. So if there were some other adjustments to the property, say 20 years from now, they'll say, well, how is it there's like this 37-foot piece that when was that transferred? What happened there? So what the replat does is it solidifies the location of the actual underlying parcel lot lines. So as it relates to you, you would have the option, if you wanted to keep you have two lots per your survey, that lot 1 and lot 2. If you wanted to keep lot 2, you certainly can. But it's also a good opportunity if they're the ones that are paying for the replat survey just to get it all fixed. I'd recommend consolidating your property into one lot since you've got a portion of your house goes onto your lot too, but it's not required. Does that make sense? Basically, to wipe out that second lot. It's like a cleanup.
A cleanup, yeah. Administrative.
Well, yeah, tax ID versus cleaner.
Yeah, you'd have one tax ID. I think there's only really quickly, I think the only trade-off to you is right now on your property, you have two legal lots that were legally created and decades ago. And so if you ever wanted to sell that lot 2 and it meets the minimum building area for land, if you ever want to sell it and somebody wanted to build a house on the corner, you have two lots, so they could do it. Now they'd have to they'd have to do a lot line adjustment so that it's not that your house isn't overhanging onto it. But if you consolidate, then there's just one lot. And so if you wanted to create another lot, you'd have to go through a process to do a minor subdivision to take out that lot. Does that make sense? It all depends on what you want to do with it. If you have no intent of selling it and you say, I'd like to keep that land, my advice would be to consolidate it in a plat, but.
Okay. So I want to continue here. I want to make sure if anybody else would like to speak on the case, it's either here or on Zoom. Hearing nothing. We have opportunity for government officials to speak on the case. Shaking of the head, no. So what I would like to hear from the board is are we comfortable with the 3-foot? Well, I don't want to pull rug. I don't want to, I don't want to lead anybody on. So I think we would need to, that's kind of where I'm at, is if we send them away on a contingent, I don't want to change our minds a month from now. Is there comfort there, or is there still some trepidation with the 3-foot offset once cleaned up? Okay, so since there's only 3 of the 5 of us here, I can't guarantee. I mean, I guess there's enough for a majority. I just want to make sure. I don't know how we would, or if there is a way. Maybe there's not a way to. Maybe we just continue to May, with the understanding that this discussion was had and predicated on the 3-foot offset.
I mean,
or the purchase of the property.
if we're gonna do the replat, then that's through here, correct? Could we do it on the subject of everything that you said, the subject of the sale of the land, the subject of the eaves, the subject of this, or everything that was stated, and move forward tonight?
Yeah, I mean, my recommendation, and take it or leave it, would be to approve it with those conditions, because there's enough meat in the condition that if for some reason it's not met, then they still can't do the project.
Okay.
If she has a change of heart, whatever it may be, they still can't do it. So it would end your involvement in it. And then once they've satisfied your conditions, then they can apply for their building permit.
So
That's how I would do it, but
we would have subject to sale. Are we requiring a replat? Is staff recommendation there then that we would also have them do a replat?
yes.
Plat. If we replatted, there would not be a sale because the lot line would just get cleaned up.
Well, like there could be a separate document. You could still do it, but there would be a because what happens is real quick, when you do that replat, all it's doing is just moving the lines. And then you're both going to sign it and say that these lines are good. But there would be a separate document, presumably if there was a sale, to say that we're selling you this little piece. Yeah. Right.
And there's the condition on fire code and eaves.
To consolidate the two lots, so you
That
won't
would
get,
build the building.
you won't get two tax bills for that lot anymore. You have two tax bills, right? Because you have two parcels. You will no longer have two tax bills, you'll have one tax bill, one parcel. So with cleaned up line with the agreement.
Now, I think the only nuance, and this would be a question for, do you have a mortgage on the property? Okay. You may want to check with them first to see what effect, if any, that could have on the mortgage, because presumably it's all tied to the land that you own, but that's more of a private question than a public one. Some places would require the mortgage company to sign the plat. I don't think we would in Fortville, but
Okay. So I think we've got 3 conditions, right? Is that what I'm hearing? Okay. Any other conversation, discussion needed on this case? Okay, well then I would look for, I guess our options are a motion to approve the variance, approve with conditions, deny, or to continue the variance.
Motion to approve.
Move with conditions, okay.
A second?
All right, seconded. Do we need to state those officially for the record? Okay.
Yeah.
You got those
Yes.
on hand?
Yeah, what the conditions are?
Yeah.
Yeah, the conditions of the sale of the land. The second condition is the replat of the land. And then also the third condition is the fire code and eaves, to make sure those are correctly drawn up.
Sorry to intervene here, but state statute, we just need to be abundantly clear on those conditions. So, and I know this is overkill, but so when we say sale of the land, I just want to be clear of sale of the land from who to who on record, and then replat and then third condition. And I know that's overkill, but just want to be abundantly clear on what that condition is.
And that's all property here, so.
Yes, to just restate the conditions, the condition of the sale of the land would be from Christy Simmons to Jessica Shug. And then the second condition would be the replat of the land. And then also the third condition would be to make sure that the fire code and the eaves are stated correctly.
Is that good, Tyler? Cool,
Yep, all good on my end. Thanks.
wonderful. Nope, appreciate the council. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? All right, variance 06-2025 is approved with the conditions as stated. Appreciate everybody's time, appreciate the collaboration and partnership here to get a solution. We appreciate it. Okay, moving on to our second case this evening. Case number variance 01-2026, 1102 Alden Drive. Hope I didn't give you guys time to fill out. If you want to fill out your paperwork, give us just 1 second before this all leaves our brain. That's a good, should know this by now. Do all 3 conditions as stated on the paper need to match the verbiage?
I mean,
Tyler, is that We want to make sure we are listing the conditions exactly the same across the three of us.
Yeah, I mean, it's stated on the record, so we're pretty good because of how the vote was taken. But just for the sake of clarity, it would probably be best if they're consistent or at least very close.
Okay. So one is sale of property from her, what's her legal name is Christiane. Simmons to Jessica Shug.
And Jonathan Simmons.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Two is replat of property. And three is, how did you state that?
Make sure that the requirements of the fire code and E are set correctly.
Okay. Requirements of fire code. So with the side yard setback, yeah. Eve. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you, sir. All right, now moving on to, I'll give you a second. Sorry. I want to move right along ahead of you. Give us just one more second. Appreciate your patience this evening. This was a involved one. Yes, for all of them, but they are, the approval will not be injured, won't be affected. It's basically a check. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Second case before us this evening, case number variance 01-2026, 1102 Alden Drive, to allow a development standards variance to allow gravel driveways for two planned homes at 1102 Alden Drive, parcel 3002. I'm not gonna read the parcel numbers. Voluntary annexation into Fortville Town Limits is also pending. So with that,
Okay.
Adam, if you've got a staff report for us, we would love to have it.
So for the record, I'm Adam Zaklikowski, the Planning and Building Director for the town. This case is a lot more straightforward, I think, and there's a lot less to untangle. So, all right. So, as you mentioned, this would be at 1102 Alden. It's just east of the Helmcrest neighborhood, and I'll show you some maps momentarily. The zoning on the property right now is residential 1.0 in Hancock County. The annexation petition has been received. After the two planned residential parcels are separated out from the main lot, which I'll show you here momentarily, those two parcels will be annexed so the new lots can be on town water and sewer. So the property is currently an agricultural property. And the request is that the owners, Mr. and Mrs. Flora, would like to build two houses on two separate lots, so one house on each, one for them and then one for a family member, as I understand it. And each lot will be slightly over an acre and will be zoned rural residential RR upon annexation into Fortville. And they would like a gravel driveway that would serve the properties, and this is not allowed in RR zoning. Thus, the variance request. So if we take a look at the parcel map here, you can see the area in purple are the technical town limits right now. And the Flora property is where the star is located. So again, just east of Helmcrest Section 5. We've got a few different maps here. We've got an oblique aerial. We can always refer back to these things as necessary. We can take a look at, this is a view of the property from the dead end at Alden Drive. And then if we take a look at the minor subdivision that they would like to eventually do, see where it says Lot 1 and then Lot 2, and then this would be carved out from that larger lot that I just showed from this one here. So they're generally in this area over here, Lot 1 and Lot 2. And then here's a zoomed in version of it. You can see the gravel driveways that would be there. Of course, they would do an access easement so that there's legal access to Lot 2 across Lot 1 to Alden. And then the Flores had been gracious enough to work with the town to site these lots in such a way that the northern line of Lot 1 is at the center line of Alden Drive, so that if Alden Drive was ever extended to the east at some point, that there'd be enough physical land to do it without impediments, so that either the town or a developer in the future could purchase that from them if they wanted to sell. So at least we've made, in my view, reasonable provisions for future planning. So as it pertains to this specific gravel driveway request, the ordinance says, quote, new gravel driveways shall only be allowed in the agricultural zoning district, end quote. But the zoning on these two lots would be residential rural, not agricultural. And that's because of the use that they're looking to do on those properties. And then I should mention that the remainder of the property, they would like to keep in unincorporated Hancock County. So the driveway standard went into effect with the Fortville zoning ordinance, which was initially adopted by council back in 2020. And if the property were developed in the county, a gravel driveway would be allowed in this scenario. As I mentioned, the applicant has cooperated with the town to preserve enough space for future Alden Drive, extension to the east if needed for additional development to the east. So all of the public hearing notification elements have been met: newspaper ads, sign, mailing. There's no known remonstrance at this moment, but there may be people in the audience that are concerned that we may hear from. So again, it really has to do with timing. Is while we could make the case that we'd have to wait until the annexation is finalized before BZA can act on it. I mean, essentially, if you're inclined to approve it, it's conditional anyway. By default, is it only applies if this ends up coming into town limits as expected. So it's really just a matter of to try to move this process along more efficiently for the Flores. So as for the 3 tests that are required for you to look at under Indiana law, my notes are in yellow here. You're free to essentially agree and adopt that finding, or you can certainly come up with your own. But the first one is the general welfare test, that approving the variance would not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. I would say that yes, that's been met. Any dust or noise generated by this gravel driveway would be negligible, given the very low traffic volume across it. It's only to serve 2 houses. Second one is the adjacent property test, that the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. I would say yes, that's been met. Because the impacts are so low, it is very unlikely to affect the use and value of any adjacent properties. And additionally, the 2 homes that the Flores are looking to build are pretty large, I believe, custom homes. So there'd be some new construction in that area. And then the last one is practical difficulty, that the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance would result in a practical difficulty in the use of the property. I'd say yes, that's generally been met. Paving of the driveway has been stated by the applicant to be expensive, which is understandable. And each planned residential home site is large. Each lot is over an acre each and would have agriculture use to the east. So as stated, a gravel driveway would normally be allowed in the county in this scenario. And the homes will have a rural unincorporated feel, but will be connected to town utilities and will be in town limits. So with that, my recommendation would be to approve it with a condition that the applicant shall simply pave the driveway approach or the apron concrete per the town utility and street standards to minimize gravel and dirt onto Alden Drive. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to address those. The applicants are here as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate that. Any questions for Adam at this time?
So on the condition that you state, Adam, so how much pavement or concrete off Alden Drive?
Yeah, it's a great question. It would just be probably anywhere from 5 to 10 feet. If they don't have a actually, in looking at this, I think is this a sanitary sewer? If there's no storm sewer that's crossing over the driveway, under the driveway, then you could just do a simple little concrete apron, the same that you would see in a suburban subdivision. So figure, that whatever it is between usually the sidewalk and the curb, anywhere from probably about 5 feet, I would say. If they needed to have a storm sewer under the driveway, the utility standards call for paving that. So it could be a little deeper.
Could this variance have any future impact on the development of the rest of the lot that will be incorporated into the town?
No, it would be the variance is specific to this lot 1 and lot 2 to serve the gravel driveway to serve these 2 lots. So in theory, if let's say that either the Floras wanted to subdivide more of their property in the future, then it's not a blanket variance. They would technically have to be paved unless they got a variance for that. Or additionally, if they were to sell the remainder of the land and a different developer came in, unless the rules were to change at some point, the requirement would still be to pave driveways unless a variance is gained.
So am I seeing correctly that the total acreage of the whole property is like 15 acres? Is that correct? 15, yeah,
That is
15.2,
correct.
15.3?
Yeah.
So I know we're here just to do the gravel drive variance, and that's what we're speaking on, but I just wonder, so only the 2 lots are going to be in town limits, but the other part is still going to be in the county, under the county standards.
That's correct.
All right.
Now, what we, just really quickly, so you have the full picture, is as staff, what I've asked for, and they seem to be amenable to it, is to enter into a simple remonstrance waiver for annexation of the remainder of the land that would come into play under 2 scenarios. One is if the Bronner piece to the east is developed into a subdivision, then they would simply, they'd still have to go through the annexation process, but they wouldn't be able to remonstrate against it. So this way we don't have a random county pocket there. The second scenario could be is if, let's say, there's a lot 3 or a lot 4 that comes into play at some point in time that they would not remonstrate to annexation. So That's separate from this particular request, but at least you have the full picture as to what the staff thinking was there.
And then one more question. So, and then nothing would be done with Brooks Drive. It would just stay as is.
Correct.
Okay.
Hey, Adam, have you talked to Alex about doing it this way? Because I guess I just have slight concern with it going forward as a conditional variance, since the town currently, as we sit here discussing this, does not have jurisdictional authority over that property. And so to me, I guess I have a little bit of a concern granting a conditional variance over property that's not annexed into the town limits, and therefore this board has no jurisdiction over it.
Well, I have not spoken to Alex about it. What I would say is in similar situations, in fact, with the Plan Commission just the other night, in order to try to reduce red tape and keep things moving, is, for example, the Plan Commission reviewed a case, made a recommendation on land that is still technically in Hancock County, but the annexation is in the process of being processed.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand your thought process, but I would say that if the reason that, again, it's up to you guys, but what I would say is the worst that could happen is if for some reason you suddenly say, we're withdrawing our annexation petition, then the variance becomes null and void. So the variance would only come into play once the annexation is finalized anyway. So
Yeah. No,
okay.
I guess we'll let the board, you all can decide if you want to move forward with it. I think I still have pause. I understand it because, again, this is just going strict off letter of law. I understand the notion and that it is harmless in the sense of, if you pull it, you're good. And I mean, if you're doing it from the town council or where plan commission's doing it, then I understand. But that's just, I guess, my 2 cents is I just take pause because there's no jurisdictional authority currently over that property. But again, to your point, if you go worst case scenario, suppose if somebody challenged it, it would just need to be you just have to redo that hearing.
If somebody challenged it, would that halt the utilities of Fortville being able to extend onto this property? Or would that continue?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that. Can you repeat the question?
If
Your mic might be off.
if it was actually pulled, would that stop the public utilities from Fortville extending onto that, since it is outside the jurisdictional? And that's the whole purpose of having the annexation
Yes,
into the
and
town.
to answer your question, yes. If for some reason they pulled the annexation petition and decided not to move forward, then no utilities would be extended. And keep in mind also, our policy, consistent with other jurisdictions too, is that the water and sewer are extended at the cost of the applicant. So the town, don't worry, taxpayers are not going to spend any money on it.
Okay. Any other questions?
Oh, and also, just to clarify, to be very clear, we do actually have a signed petition in hand for these two lots. It just has not been processed yet by town council because we were waiting for the land to be quitclaimed, to be carved up. So.
So next week, I'm coming
Yeah.
to you, Adam,
So.
but it just happened this week that we finally got that separate piece completely separated to move forward.
So that would be my recommendation would be to move forward with it only because I don't disagree whatsoever with what Tyler's saying. I just think in the interest of trying to move things forward, being fair, removing red tape where we can. I think it's appropriate because it's no harm, no foul, but it's up to you guys.
And just to clarify, Tyler, I guess, should this be challenged, they would just have to come, so we either continue and they have to come back before us, or if it's challenged, they have to come back before us, right? Is that the kind of the worst case?
Yeah,
They would have
yeah,
to
because
apply for the variance again.
the challenge would be the board couldn't make, like, if you were to do it in favor today with the conditional approval, the challenge would be you never had jurisdictional approval over that property to make that decision anyway. It needs to be reheard.
Okay. I hear that. Okay. All right. We'll move along with the public hearing portion. We have time for the petitioner. If there's anything you'd like to say above and beyond what Adam said in his report, you're welcome to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Done
Thank
it
you.
For quite a while, so he pretty much spelled all of it out. The only new part was that we were able to get.
Can I have you up here just so we catch it on the mic and it's recorded and since we're putting Tyler through his paces tonight, I want to make sure he captures everything. So.
Laura, and we're petitioning for 1102 Alden Drive.
Perfect. Thank you.
To build it. Adam's done a good job. We've been working with him for quite a while to work this all out. And just this week, we were able to get the quitclaim taken care of. The survey has been filed at the courthouse and the quitclaim has been filed and recorded. And I have a new parcel number for that piece of ground. So we're ready to move forward now with the rest of the annexation process. So we're all set to move. I don't have anything else to add. This is just, we've had that piece of ground for a while, so.
Any questions for the petitioner this time? Okay. All right. We do have time on our agenda for public comment. Anybody who would like to speak for or against the case, online or in person, is welcome to do so. You can come on down to the microphone. If you could say and spell your name and your address, please.
My name is Gary Johnson. 700 Oak Boulevard, West Drive in Greenfield. I'm the owner of 1016 Brooks Drive in Fortville. I just want to know what's the plans for the other acres on the south end of, so it'll be cash rent?
Yeah, it's gonna be far.
All gonna put the beans and hay.
We're waiting on to put hay in, but
Okay,
that's.
that's it. All right, that's, and you answered the questions already about Brooks Drive. That's not going to be, and I appreciate you going down and speaking with my mom.
Oh, yeah,
Mom's
we've
the one
talked to
that lives
her.
there. Yeah.
We've talked to her several times.
So, I'm looking forward to a couple of nice houses.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time this evening. Okay. All right. Any other questions for the petitioner or discussion that we would like to have?
So if this was approved tonight, would a condition need to be said about paving the apron to minimize Alden Drive, or is that correct?
I would.
Minimize the gap of it?
Just for clarity.
Okay.
Even though it could be covered under our utility standards anyway, just so that there's no confusion on expectations.
Okay. Are there any concerns, and I'm not trying to put anyone on the spot, no wrong answer here, any concerns with a conditional approval along the lines of what we've discussed tonight? No? Okay. Okay. All right. Well then,
Real quick.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I just gotta say this. I know we're only here for the gravel drive, but I just do have concern with the other acreage for the town for the future. Because it's just it's a big gap of land that connects to potentially, are the Bronner's in Hancock County? Yeah. So there was a piece in town that's since been developed that sat there for years. That was a piece of land, that was a piece of land to another piece of land. And I just worry about it being, like you said, you talked about the remonstrance, for that. And I know this is off topic, but, I just hope in the future that if, something was done to connect either Helmcrest to Bronner's, or, that where it expanded, or more custom homes back there, I just hope, that you guys would be, agreeable, or at least come to the table and talk to the town about that, since that part's in Hancock County and not in the town.
And that's what it sounds like. The remonstrance waivers would essentially clear the way for that in the future, should that occur. That
Okay.
makes sense.
Yep.
That makes sense, though.
Yep. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. I would look for if we're going to no further discussion on the case, a motion to approve with conditions, deny or continue variance 01/2026 1102 Alden Drive.
I'll second.
All right, and let's state for the record that the condition is that a concrete apron will be provided at Alden Drive to reduce dust and gravel.
Does it have to be concrete?
I was thinking the same thing, but I wonder if the termination
No, I
for
think you
HMA
could-
versus,
You could do asphalt if that's easier, and
so maybe just say a paved apron.
yeah, you say literally concrete or asphalt.
Okay, okay. So with the condition being concrete or asphalt apron from Alden Drive to the gravel drives. All right, we've got a motion and a second with condition. All in favor? Aye. All right. Motion approved, 3-0. Thank you.
Sorry. Did we get,
Hopefully, Tyler? Yep, go ahead, Tyler, sorry.
did we get the conditional, on the annexation being approved?
No, we probably need to add that as a condition.
Yeah, that needs to be added in.
Okay,
I'll redo it.
so do we need to, since that was technically, do we need to pull it back? What's the official terminology there if we want to, or do we just file it, or do we just make a new motion? Do
I
we,
think, I mean, unless Adam feels differently, a new motion is just fine.
okay, okay. So I would look for a new motion adding in, so making sure we have two conditions, one being the paved driveway HMA or concrete, and contingent on the annexation. All right. Do you have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion with those conditions that are being met.
Okay. Do I have a second? All right. All in favor? Aye. All right. Motion approved with two conditions. We just doubled up your conditions, just like that. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
Hopefully we aren't back here before you, but I do appreciate the counsel. I will get that. Let's see. All right, that one's easy. I can finish that. Okay. All right, that closes our public hearing section of the meeting this evening. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Number 6, moving along in our agenda this evening, board comments. I would just like to say thank you to everybody, particularly on that first case. That was a lot of hard work, and I think we came to a mutual solution there. So thank you, Adam. Thank you, staff. Thank you all for working with. I think that's what Fortville brings that's unique, is we were able to find a solution that really worked for everybody, and that felt good. So appreciate everybody's work. I know it's been several months in the making, but that was fantastic. Yeah, I think so. Okay, any other board comments? I don't want to cut you guys off. Okay. Staff comments.
Nothing for me.
Okay. Again, Adam, Sarah, Tyler, thank you guys. Appreciate the hard work, keeping us in line. With that, number 8, I would look for an adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn 7:36.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 7:36. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Tyler.
Of course, y'all take care.